Yeah.
So there's definitely trade connections, and it makes sense if you're trading in the Indian Ocean, you need to
Mhm.
have, representatives in all these major ports
Yeah.
from, uh, Hodeidah, I guess, in Yemen all the way to Kerala. So,
Yeah.
and then even all the way to Kaifeng in China, right? It's part of this international Jewish trade network, so to speak.
Yeah. So what happened is, so first of all, so they didn't have a fixed rabbi. At least
Hmm.
the synagogue of Ezekiel Rabi, they had visiting
Hmm.
rabbis from Yemen. So
Yemen, yeah. Okay.
that was their first place. And most of the women, also the women they married, they also came from Yemen.
Mm.
Yeah. So yeah, there had been people coming and going. So merchants coming and going from Cochin through all the centuries. Um, those ports, the people who stayed there, that was not a fixed population, a Jewish population. There were people coming and going, merchants.
Oh, and I should mention here
Yeah.
Maimonides. I did an episode about on the Cairo Geniza, and Maimonides' brother, um, he died on a he
Yeah.
left from Egypt going to India, and he died on a ship. And
Mhm.
Maimonides tells the story of that was the saddest thing that ever happened. And remember, Maimonides was a refugee
Yeah.
from Muslim fanatics in Spain, which tried to force him to convert to Islam, and he ends up going through Morocco, eventually to Egypt. And the saddest thing in his life is that his brother died on the ship to India. And there's this letter that his brother sent him that was like, he says he used to hold it and cry over it. It's really a dramatic story. So yeah, so you have Jews going back and forth from India,
Yeah.
certainly since the 12th century, but probably for 2,000 years.
Till from the 10th century onwards, and that is, well, that's mostly what
Well,
people
and Mayor
say.
Barlan has done research and shown that.
Yeah.
So it talks about Solomon sent ships
Yeah.
from Eilat to Ophir, and he says that's a place in India. Which, I mean, we knew it was somewhere in the subcontinent. He says specifically in Western India.
Yeah. So the first records which are really found in India, they are from the 10th century, the
Mm-hmm.
first written records. So
Are those the copper plates? Is that
they're actually from the 11th century.
oh, the
Yeah.
11th century? Okay,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
copper plates, guys, is such an interesting story. We won't go into that, but all right. So he doesn't have a lot of work in Colombo in
No.
Sri Lanka, and they end up sending him to Kerala. All right,
Well,
somewhere around there.
he says he's going on a holiday to
Oh,
Cochin.
this is
Yeah,
okay.
but to be sure, they knew his rector. He knew he had hosted Ezekiel Rahabi at the seminary because they had a printing press
Oh,
at the seminary, and Ezekiel Rahabi was looking for ways to print the liturgy. So the how do you call it?
the Siddur prayer book. Okay, the
Yeah,
Jewish prayer book. All right.
yeah, yes, the Siddur. And
And let me give a
he
quick
also,
background for my audience who may not know. So Jews all over the world traditionally had a very set liturgy,
yeah,
meaning you go to a synagogue, and look, in Christianity they have what's called high church and low church. There is no such thing as low church in Judaism. Every synagogue, whether it's Reform, Conservative, Orthodox, Karaite, all of them have a very set liturgy. And so if everybody is reciting the same prayers every Sabbath, well, it's really nice to have a book printed, because if
yeah,
you have to write it out by hand, it's quite painstaking and expensive.
mhm,
So, and then each community has slight variations,
mhm,
sometimes major, but usually slight variations of what the liturgy is. And so you're saying he's looking for a place to print the Indian Yemenite slash probably tradition.
yeah.
And in Yemen, they never had printing presses, even in the 20th century in the Jewish community. So,
Well,
all right. So he's looking for a printing press. How interesting. Did he get it printed in the end?
yes, he did. Because I already told you that Leopold
Yeah.
Emanuel Jacob
Yeah.
was a previous
Oh,
owner of
that's
printing
right.
press. Yeah,
He had
and he
experience
was
as
a
a
converted
printing.
Jew. So yeah,
Okay.
that is why he
Wow.
went to India to Cochin, and yeah, so he arrived, I think, in January 1756. And so the first thing they did is make sure that the prayer books were printed, and he did that because Leopold, he was from The Hague. He knew the community leader there. He was actually living a couple of houses away from the community leader. They probably met a lot. And he contacted them, and the community leader was actually the banker, one of the bankers of the Prince of Orange. So he was like a court factor.